In the previous two videos, I've explained each of the four gauges in detail. There's a lot of information presented in each gauge, and they serve their own purposes. However, taken together, all four gauges paint a much more comprehensive picture of how the utility compares in their rates within the context of cost recovery and affordability. This is a very important step. Without getting the full picture, rates comparisons alone, if you just look at this one gauge, can lead to faulty and risky decisions. Let's look at the example utilities water bills alone for 5,000 gallons a month. And let's compare to all utilities. Sit back and glance at the four gauges. What is your impression? They're doing well overall. Their dials are in the green or yellow. Nothing is red. The rates are near the median. Their percent MHI is relatively low. And they have recovered their operating expenses through their operating revenues. If water conservation is important to the utility though, they could perhaps re-examine the rates they set at 10,000 gallons per month to send a stronger signal. Note, we always recommend that you look at water and wastewater combined when you look at the conservation pricing signal. In this case, the story doesn't change. Okay, let's look at a different story. Instead of example utility, I'll look at another utility, also a completely made up utility. This one's called low rates, low OR. Look at the gauges again. Is the story any different? Well, the title gives it away. Their rates are low. Sure, that sounds like a good thing, if that's the only thing you look at. But at what cost? Look at the cost recovery gauge. This utility, by charging so low, could only recover half of its operating expenses through its rates. That means they are either subsidizing through the general fund, taxes, or they are in danger of not having enough revenue available to pay for daily operations and maintenance and future capital costs. Can they raise rates? Will it affect affordability? Their rates are at 0.46% MHI. They could probably raise rates and not run into a significant affordability issue. In fact, let's do that. At the bottom left, you can move a slider to the right. Click on the blue dot, hold the mouse button down, and slide it to the right. This models a rate increase. By increasing rates up to 50%, which is the maximum, you can see all four gauges moving to the right. Instead of showing what the utility is actually charging, we are now looking at what the utility would be charging given the rate increase we select. Even the cost recovery dial, so look at this dial, even the cost recovery dial reflects an increase in the revenues, and assuming no changes to expenses, the cost recovery ratio improves as we raise rates. We factored in an elasticity figure to reflect the fact that as you raise rates, consumption will usually go down, affecting revenues as well. Anytime you move the slider to the right, a large warning box appears. Heed that warning. This dashboard cannot and should not be used in place of an in-depth rate study. The projections shown are very broad brushed. Of course, unfortunately for this utility, even a 50% increase in their rates would not be sufficient to make it recover its operating expenses. Luckily, this is a made-up utility. Hopefully, you will never let your utility reach the point that this utility has reached. But cost recovery is not the only indicator of financial sustainability. In fact, many utilities prefer to calculate the operating ratio while excluding depreciation. For North Carolina, we have a second tab that shows several financial indicators and benchmarks, the Financial Benchmarks tab at the top. To get a better picture of the utility's financial health, click on Financial Benchmarks. We will go over them in the next video.